Hey there, Virgo. I'm back and here for the reading. So, I am doing a reading for you. These are timeless readings for really whoever finds it, but I am titling it a Virgo reading, thinking of it from that perspective. So, thanks for joining me. Let's see what's going on. Really positive reading so far. Wow. Um,
Um, you've been feeling a shift in the energy, haven't you? Something about the way someone who hurt you is suddenly showing up differently in your awareness. Like they can't stay away anymore. Like something in them is being pulled toward you even though you're no longer reaching back. Let me tell you what I'm sensing in the energy right now. The first thing that's coming through is this reversal you might be experiencing in a dynamic that once left you feeling powerless. You might be noticing that someone who previously had all the control, all the certainty, all the ability to come and go as they pleased is now showing signs of restlessness around you. You could be picking up on their energy more frequently, feeling them, thinking about you, sensing a kind of urgency or agitation coming from their direction that wasn't there before. Here's what you might be observing. This person who hurt you, who perhaps took you for granted or chose poorly or walked away when you needed them to stay, you might be noticing them appearing more often in your physical reality or your digital spaces. Maybe you're seeing increased attempts at contact. Maybe you're experiencing coincidental run ins. Maybe you're feeling their presence in your dreams or in those quiet moments when your intuitive channels are most open. What's emerging in the energy is that you're no longer in the same emotional space you occupied when this person had the power to wound you. You might be experiencing a sense of distance from the pain that once consumed you. You could be noticing that when you think about this person now, there's less charge is less than hash zero. 5 hash is greater than less reactivity, less of that desperate hoping that kept you tethered to them even after they demonstrated they weren't capable of honoring what you offered. This reflection invites you to consider how much you've grown in the space where you stopped waiting for someone to realize what they lost and what that growth has made possible in your energy field. You might be sensing that this person is experiencing something uncomfortable right now, not because you're doing anything to create that discomfort, but because absence has a way of teaching lessons that presence never could. You could be picking up on frequencies of regret, of second guessing, of someone reviewing the past with different eyes and coming to different conclusions about choices that once seemed so certain to them. What I'm sensing is that you're no longer available in the way you once were, not just physically or logistically, but energetically. You might have done significant inner work to untangle yourself from this connection. You could have set boundaries, created distance, redirected your focus towards your own healing and growth. And that shift in your availability is creating a vacuum that this person can feel even if they don't fully understand what's changed. What's interesting about this particular energy is that you might be experiencing a kind of magnetic pull coming from someone who previously seemed indifferent to your presence. You could be noticing increased intensity in how often you think about them or sense them thinking about you. But here's what's different now. You're observing this from a place of curiosity rather than hope. You're noticing the shift without necessarily needing it to mean anything about your future, without needing it to fix the past or validate your worth. You might be wondering what's driving this change in someone who hurt you. What I'm picking up on is that you're likely observing the natural consequences of someone realizing they operated from ego, from fear, from unhealed wounds when they were with you. You could be sensing them sitting with the reality of what they had and what they chose to do with it. And that reckoning often shows up as a pulling energy, a reaching energy, an energy that wants to go back and undo or redo or at least understand what happened. What's coming through is that you're being given an opportunity to witness your own evolution. You might be noticing how differently you respond to this person's energy now compared to how you would have responded weeks or months ago. You could be experiencing moments where you feel their pull and recognize that you have a choice, that you're not automatically drawn back into old patterns, old hopes, old dynamics that left you depleted and confused. This reflection invites you to consider what you're protecting in yourself by maintaining the boundaries you've built, and whether anything this person could offer now would be worth compromising that protection. You might be experiencing mixed feelings about this shift. Part of you might feel validated, might experience a kind of satisfaction in sensing that someone who hurt you is now experiencing their own form of discomfort around losing you. But another part of you might feel sad, sad for time lost, sad for pain that didn't need to happen, sad that someone needed your absence to recognize what your presence was worth. What I'm sensing is that you're in a position of power now that has nothing to do with controlling this person or manipulating their feelings. The power you're experiencing comes from no longer needing them to choose you, no longer needing their recognition of your worth to feel whole, no longer organizing your emotional landscape around whether they come back or stay gone. And that kind of power is unshakable because it comes from within you, not from anyone else's behavior. The energy is showing that you might be observing increased efforts from this person to reestablish connection. You could be noticing messages that seem casual but carry undertones of wanting to know where you are, who you're with, whether you're still thinking about them. You might be picking up on attempts to remind you of good times, to minimize past hurts, to create openings for conversation. And all of this could be confirming what you've been sensing about a shift in who's doing the chasing now. What's important for you to understand is that someone pursuing you after hurting you doesn't automatically heal what was broken. You might be experiencing their renewed interest and recognizing that interest alone isn't the same as changed behavior. You could be sensing that someone wanting you back doesn't mean they've done the work to become capable of honoring what they're wanting. And that discernment is a sign of how much you've grown. This reflection invites you to consider what you would actually need to see demonstrated over time before you could trust that someone's pursuit of you is based on genuine growth rather than fear of loss or ego bruising. You might be noticing that your nervous system responds differently to this person's energy now. Where you used to feel hope spike every time you sensed movement from them, you might now be experiencing something calmer. You could be observing their attempts to reconnect without your heart racing, without your thoughts spiraling, without your entire day being derailed. And that steadiness is evidence of healing that no one can take from you. What I'm picking up on is that you're being tested in a way, not by the universe trying to see if you'll fail, but by life giving you an opportunity to practice what you've learned. You might be experiencing this person's pursuit as a chance to demonstrate to yourself that you truly have moved beyond needing their validation, that you've genuinely built a life and an identity that doesn't revolve around whether someone who hurt you has finally realized their mistake. And passing that test looks like maintaining your peace regardless of what energy comes at you. The energy for this period is showing that you might continue to observe signs of someone chasing what they lost. You could experience escalating attempts to get your attention, to provoke a response, to recreate the dynamic where you were the one pursuing and they held all the cards. But what's different now is your capacity to witness all of that without being pulled off your center is less than #0. 5 is greater than without abandoning the progress you've made, without sacrificing your peace for the temporary satisfaction of being wanted by someone who once rejected you. What's also coming through is that you might be experiencing clarity about what this person actually represented in your life. You could be seeing now that the connection you thought was so significant was perhaps more about what you projected onto it than what it actually was. You might be recognizing patterns you didn't see before, red flags you rationalized away, moments where you chose hope over evidence. And that clarity, while sometimes painful, is setting you free from fantasies that kept you stuck. You might be sensing that this person is experiencing regret, not just surface level I miss you feelings, but deeper recognition of choices made and opportunities lost. You could be picking up on them replaying the past, imagining different outcomes, wishing they had shown up differently. And while you can observe that energy with compassion, you're under no obligation to do anything with it. What I'm sensing is that you're being invited to choose yourself in a way you perhaps didn't before. You might be experiencing this person's pursuit and recognizing that you get to decide what serves you now. You could be understanding that forgiveness doesn't require reconciliation, that compassion doesn't mean reopening doors you've closed, that wishing someone well doesn't mean letting them back into spaces where they once caused harm. And exercising that discernment is how you honor the journey you've been on. This reflection invites you to consider what choosing yourself looks like in this moment and whether that choice might require you to disappoint someone who's now ready for something you've already moved beyond. The energy is showing that you might continue to feel this person's presence for a while. You could experience waves of them reaching energetically, attempts to engage you, efforts to recreate connection. But what's different is your relationship to all of that. You're not waiting for it. You're not organizing your life around it. You're not making it mean more than it means. And that neutrality is the ultimate form of freedom from someone who once had so much power over your emotional state. What's coming through is that this experience isn't really about them at all. It's about you witnessing your own transformation. It's about you recognizing that the person who once had the capacity to devastate you no longer has that access. It's about you understanding that you've built something in yourself that doesn't need external validation to remain stable. And that realization is worth more than any apology or pursuit or changed behavior from someone who hurt you. You might be experiencing moments of temptation, moments where you wonder if you should give this person another chance, if their pursuit means they've changed, if you're being too harsh by maintaining your distance. And those moments are normal, but what I'm sensing is that you already know the answer. Your body knows, your intuition knows, the peace you've built knows. And trusting that knowing means trusting yourself more than you trust someone else's newfound urgency to reclaim what they once discarded. So, as you move through this period, Pay attention to what grounds you. Pay attention to what brings you back to your center when you feel this person's energy pulling at you. Pay attention to the life you've been building in the space where you stopped waiting for someone to realize what they had. And protect that. Protect your peace, protect your progress, protect the version of yourself that finally understands you deserve connections that don't require you to heal from them. Someone chasing you now doesn't erase how it felt when they walked away. And you're wise enough to remember that, wise enough to choose based on patterns, not promises. Wise enough to know that the greatest form of power isn't making someone want you back. It's no longer needing them to.